Welcome to another episode of the Strong Family Project podcast. I am one of your hosts, Joe, joined by Mel.
Welcome back to the Strong Family Project podcast, where we guide you on the path to raising confident, independent, and resilient children in a strong family environment.
When you tune in, you're going to hear one of two episodes. On Tuesdays, we do the 10-minute Tuesday. We had a solid one, quick one. They're quick hitters on last Tuesday about solving issues as they come up and communication strategies for your family. So you can scroll back to that one or bookmark it. Or we have our full-length episodes on Thursday. Every Thursday, we put an episode of around 30 minutes where we tackle something more in depth. A couple times on the full-length episodes, we'll do some Q&A. So if you have any questions, visit us at strongfamilyproject.com. Go ahead and download the Strong Family Path. It's our free PDF. You might as well grab it. And you can reply to any email that we send with a parenting question to be featured on one of our Q&A episodes. Mel, are you ready to dive in?
Mm-hmm.
No, you're not. This is a big one.
Wow,
But I've done all the notes on it, so I'm very proud of this work. We will be doing...
That's a big deal if you have notes.
13 areas that you absolutely need to role model in for your children. And we'll go over each one of those areas for your consideration. However, Mel wanted to play the question game before we dove in. So Mel, question for you. One of our 90-day goals is to do 3 hikes together other than our basic ones. So to put aside our basic routines, go out and do something special 3 times in the next 90 days. We found it critical. We put an episode up on how we do our 90-day family planning 2 weeks ago. And this one landed on there. And Mel, we took a hike on 7 Bridges today, a little place in Colorado Springs. What did you enjoy or learn from that hike?
2 things. 1, I really love the hike because it's right by a creek. And like listening to water rushing is very relaxing for me. So I enjoyed that. The second thing I learned is that because we planned that, as part of our 90 days, we actually did it. Like that has been huge for me in multiple ways related to my goals in the last few weeks of helping me stay super focused. And then when you suggested, hey, why don't we do one of those 3 hikes today? I just don't think we would have done it otherwise. So it was exciting to me to see the fruits of our meeting labor from a couple weeks ago.
It's been huge. I wrote a book for people, the Strong Family Project Guidebook, in April, right as this podcast launched. And then I saved the doc and I've done nothing with it. We talked about it in our 90-day meeting. Mel's been reading through it and doing all the proofreading and adding stories and fact-checking me on a few things. And so we'll have the book launch for you around fingers crossed, Black Friday. That's right, Black Friday?
That's our goal, yeah.
Make sure I hit the right day of the week. I don't know why I thought Black Thursday. That's Thanksgiving.
Yep.
Well, everything's merging together. Consumer brain got me for a second. So we went on the hike. We were doing the book as one of our goals. But I really enjoyed the hike. And as a constant reminder to Mel, dress in layers when you hike. She's getting cold and hot. But I did learn one thing, and you can go with your that's always coming up. I love to hike early. I like the peace of hiking. And so as we were walking out, it might have been 8:30 a.m. or so already then. People were starting to show up. I call them the late arrivals. It's already afternoon, day's over. We want to hit those trails 6 a.m., have them virtually to ourselves, and have a great private experience, because the experience is different when you go out in the wilderness at unpopular trails at 6 a.m. or 9 or noon or 2 or 3. So you can experience a little bit of all of it.
I do screw up the layering thing. It's because
joke.
I check the weather, and then when we show up there here in Colorado, if you're in the shade, it can be like 20 degrees colder. So then I'm like, oh, Joe, this hike better be in the sun, because I did not dress properly for the shade. And then like halfway through, I'm like sweating because we're hiking, and then on the way down, I was freezing. Whatever. It worked out just fine.
Always a mess. That's not good role modeling. Something we're talking today. She knew she was in trouble because she saw me in a sweatshirt. See me in a sweatshirt, you better be bundled up. And I brought it. All right, I'm going to be a little chilly. And then she started, you better be in the sun. But she already knew it was too late.
You even said in the car, you're like, I might leave my sweatshirt. And then when you didn't, I was like, dang, it's going to be cold.
All right, go ahead with your question.
So we have this kind of funny joke in between us where I will sometimes accidentally dress in just one color, as I did today accidentally. And I was going to ask you, what is your favorite combination of one color outfits that I wear?
Yes, I do appreciate sweet potato outfit today. For those who can't see or listening to the podcast, I like gray suit. The gray suit has come up. There's actually another name for it. Oh, man. The kids told me once at the gym. I thought it was pretty funny. But it was because when we were athletes in the 90s, you got those gray, like light gray sweatpants with little elastic bottoms and like a light gray overall with a size like XL, Colgate Football XL. And the sweatpants had the same thing on it. And we're walking around gray suits all day. It's going to hit me like mid-podcast what
I know, it's like ringing a bell, but I can't
other
think of
people
it.
call it. So I love a classic gray suit because it brings back the memories of college athletics.
And then sometimes I'll have jeans and a jean jacket, and what do you call
Well,
that?
everyone knows that's the Canadian tux. That's not me.
I never heard that before you, so you've enlightened me with many phrases over the years.
So today we're going to dive into 13 areas you need to role model for your kids. I was reflecting on this based on an Instagram post from Cam Haines, the bow hunter. I had read his book Endure last, maybe 2 summers ago, right when it came out, and have had some communication with him back and forth with just a couple messages here and there. And he seems like a really passionate guy for the things that he likes to do. Run, shoot his arrow, lift weights, spend time with his family. And the other day he posted about his family because his son had just broken the world record for pull-ups in 24 hours. A gentleman named Truett Haynes. Yep. I want to make sure I get that. A lot of respect for them because I did 4,140 pull-ups. He almost doubled that in 24 hours. That's a tremendous amount. And his son's so successful. Other son's successful. Daughter's successful. And he just made a post of basically summarizing, and I hope I do it justice, that regardless of like all the question marks in parenting, he wasn't sure. He couldn't force his kids to do things. He thought the best way was just do the hard things himself and role model it for them. And he mentioned that his wife role modeled a lot of the love and affection for them very well, and they've grown up very balanced and super successful. And I do believe role modeling is the best way to lead. And I think it's the way that we screw up the most because it's a tremendous burden. The kids are with you 24 hours a day. They know who you really are. You can't hide from the kids like you can't hide and have a fake personality online, or you could have a fake persona at the workplace. But the kids will know. The kids will know if you're hiding that Ben & Jerry's in the ice cream drawer and waiting for them to go to bed. Like they'll get it sometime eventually, and you can't role model one way when they're around and then really live a different way in the shadows of your home. And so I want to go over 13 areas for your consideration where you can do a little evaluation and say, all right, what am I teaching my kids in this area by my behaviors? Many of you are doing a great job.
That sounded like it was mid-sentence.
I know it was, but period. Many of you are doing a great job. I want people to think about these categories though, because a lot of times people will lean towards the major ones and skip over a lot. So are you ready, Mel?
I just want to say first, that piece that Cam Haines said about he himself was going to do the hard things, that just keeps ringing in my mind. Because first of all, you're saying hard things. We want our kids to do challenging things. We want them to develop confidence. Instead of making them do stuff, they need to watch us do it. And that keeps like playing in my mind. So I wanted to repeat that. And I'm ready now for your list.
Repeat.
Repeat. Yes.
Yes. Doing hard things in life is a non-negotiable. You can try to band-aid things up front, but at some point your kids will have to overcome something hard. So you might as well do it while you're there, and you might as well show them how to do it. All right. Here's number 1. 15 areas you absolutely need to role model for your kids. Communication skills. That includes communication with your significant other. That includes how you walk into a room and present yourself. That includes public speaking. That includes the written word. Do you write? Do your kids see you write? Do you write notes in their lunch? Or are they older? Do you write lists for them? Do you write stories? What do your kids pick up from your communication or lack thereof?
This is so funny because I've been editing our book that's going to be coming out hopefully in the next month or so. And yesterday, Logan keeps talking to me while I'm trying to edit. And Logan's my son who struggles with writing. He needs to work on his editing skills. And I'm glad that he is seeing me edit something as an adult. It is relevant even now as I'm older. I want to be able to communicate clearly with people in my writing, or in this case, me editing your writing. But I love that he's seeing me do it. I'm not like editing or hiding it. He saw me do that, and I think that's really important. Writing is just one piece. Like, we're always role modeling communication at our family meetings, at our family dinners. We had a wedding 2 weeks ago, and it was really important for the kids when they present themselves, when they're meeting new people, because we were meeting their now aunt's family. They need to be able to shake hands and stand up straight and look people in the eye, and all those things are role modeled by us at home.
Henry's picked up an excellent habit of shaking his coach's hands at the end of a season or game and thanking them. There's a lot of nonverbal cues. We work on posture. Like, I'm constantly pushing my head back. I don't like to feel like I have a double chin, but I also don't have that text neck. At 6'5", I play down a little bit sometimes in crowds because I don't like to stand out, and so I've got to posture up when appropriate. Now, other communication ideas for us, like, I prefer the gray man style of communication. I don't wear a lot of flamboyant t-shirts, whether they're just big jokes or like big political statements, because I don't believe you're going to start an intelligent conversation out of a flamboyant t-shirt, or a flamboyant might not be the right word, but like a shock value t-shirt. I'm not looking for people to come over and talk to me that I don't know about something and just give me their opinion. I have enough people in my life that I respect deeply and I love their opinions, but I'm not going to go out and make huge overt statements with my clothing because I'm not looking for these micro conversations.
Yeah, we want our kids to be taken seriously. And I think oftentimes we need to teach them how to communicate their character through their actions and words, not necessarily how they're dressed.
We teach them they have more value than the clothes they wear, what they want to dye their hair or act out doing, have real value.
I wanted to say that last weekend, Henry was invited to a soccer game for a birthday party. And when I went to pick him up, he went over to the dad who took them and gave him a handshake and looked him in the eye. I did not tell him to. In the past, as we were teaching them to roll, as we were role modeling that for them, we might say something like, hey, don't forget to give a handshake. But he did it completely on his own. And I only share that because if you have these things and you do them constantly, like constant gentle pressure, you will see the results of it here and there.
2 more points on communication. I suggest you give your kids an opportunity to do some public speaking before they learn about all those fears of public speaking. People are like, prefer to be dead than public speak, or whatever that one poll says. You got to give them the opportunity, and if they can embrace it, it'll give them such a leg up. There are so many brilliant people working for not as brilliant people, because those not as brilliant people can speak and communicate more clearly the ideas and what needs to get done than the people who are tactically very excellent. And so get your kids an opportunity to do some public speaking. A friend of mine, Vince, has had his daughters, I know one of them spoke at business conference. She gets up there, she does a little book summary. He teaches her how to do presentations, a good resource you can YouTube, or YouTube the summary, get the book. I think it's Presentation Secrets of Steve Jobs. Basically, you start with a little bit of a hook. You have 3 acts, 3 things you want to tell. Make it clear, make it concise, don't make it too long. And like, teach your kids a framework to communicate in public speak. The second thing is, don't slack on writing. It's so tempting to say, all right, kids have word processors. They can just talk into this thing. They'll be fine. That's you letting yourself off the hook, because teaching a kid writing is hard. It is a kick in the crotch a lot of the times. Right, Mel?
Sure is. I even bought these. It's just like a series of paragraphs that you have to edit. And I have been slacking a little bit. I need to get back into that, just because I feel like they don't do as much of that in school, but it's important. When I'm editing, all these little ideas come up, because you'll forget commas and I'll add commas or whatever the case may be, but it's not as taught in school because people rely too much on autocorrect.
A resource for that is called a story spine for young kids. I remember looking it up with our son Logan, who was struggling with writing, and it's basically like a fill in the blank, almost like a Mad Libs for stories, where it's like this. I'm just making this up. There's a lot of better story spines. But it's like, this gentleman walked into the door and sees, and then they have to write the rest of the sentence. And then he meets a person that says this, and then they have to write in, and at least that gets them a start on a story. So look up story spines if you're looking for better storytelling. That'll be very powerful for your family. You got to role model good communication skills. Good storytelling goes in that. Public speaking goes in that. Nonverbal cues go in that. What you wear and how you walk in a room all goes into communication skills. And of course, the communication skills of the relationships in the household. That was a long one, but we got to move it faster. Number 2, second area you need to absolutely role model for your kids is in respect. Respect. I'll take that word apart a little bit. Spect from the root word spectacle, to do again. So what is worth looking at again and helping them teach what respect is? Now, we typically respect people until they are proven that they are not worthy of that respect. I think this is not respect all people, all things, all times. I think that's a little bit, little rosy view of the world. Give people respect. And once they burn it, okay, you're not going to go out to disrespect them. You're just going to not deal with them as much as possible anymore. And so you're not wasting your energy. And so what does respect look like? Looking someone in the eye when they're talking, listening to their stories, even if they stink. You should respect people in your family in general up front. Those people need to also earn it. And that is the other side of the coin. We teach them, if you want respect, you have to be a respectable person. We talked about it a little bit with communication skills. Stand up straight, treat people right, look them in the eye, listen to them, use their names. Don't make it all about you. Learn more about them, help them out whenever possible, whenever practical. But it also doesn't mean being a doormat for other people. The word no is a complete sentence. People need to respect that. And if they don't, you should be, you know what, that person's disrespecting your time and your effort. You need to move on and move into a different area. There are 360 million, 330 million people in America. You can find some that you can have a mutual respect for and have great relationships, and you'll be much better off because of it.
A little example with our 5-year-old, if he starts to whine, it has a whiny tone in his voice, we simply say to him, I don't listen to you when you use that tone of voice. Or you'll do it funny. You'll be like, wait, did you break? Like, why do you sound like that? Because we want to teach him in a funny way that he needs to learn to speak respectfully. So if he starts whining about something, we just don't give in to that. We make sure that he corrects it and starts to speak to us in a more respectful tone. Or you said earlier, being able to listen to someone, even if it's like an extended story or if it's boring or something. So a lot of times, I don't want to say a lot of times, but there are times in the evening debrief where they'll be going on about a story for a long time and I'm just tired and just want to get it done. But I think that's really important that I'm showing him the respect of listening to this thing that's very important to him. Even if I'm listening to like how he's going to build what does Logan want to build? A go-kart or something like that. I'm giving him the time of day that he feels respected. And I think even if they don't get it right now, when they're older, they will remember. When I was thinking about this thing, my mom might have not been so interested, but she still took the time to listen. And that is respecting within a relationship.
And so you need to decide what to respect and then intentionally role model it. I know there's, again, a lot of rosy glasses out there, and I do respect that. I like people who want to do so much good in the world. I'm a little bit more selective. I give people the benefit of the doubt, absolutely. This has nothing to do with gender, race, ethnicity, anything like that. I think everyone deserves respect up front, and then they can prove otherwise. And then don't let them prove otherwise twice, and certainly don't let them prove otherwise 3 times. It has nothing to do with a group of people. It has to do with individual people and the value that they potentially bring. I'll give an example. I was walking down a street in Whitefish, Montana with Vince, and there was a young girl. Mom had some sort of store shop on the main street, and I forget what the shop was, but she was out like playing a guitar for some change from tourists. It was she was practicing, doing probably her school practice and entertaining too. I'm like, I respect the hell out of that. Like, the mom's running a shop, the daughter's out there learning and providing value and being happy. Like, this is an awesome situation. Elderly, I tend to respect because they have so much wisdom of the life that they've lived that I know they have some information, just so much information or wisdom that they could potentially share. And so there's people that I give all people the benefit of the doubt, but definitely 3-strike rule for me. Mel, what about you?
I agree. I think you do have to be selective in making sure that almost like who you spend time with. And I want to make sure we role model. You want to be able to spend time with people who are respectful and to not feel guilty. If someone crosses you and basically they lose your respect, I think you have to just make a decision and move on. Like I struggle with that a bit more. You have a little bit of an easier time. I'll feel bad about it. But then it's at the end of the day, I need to make sure that I'm surrounding myself with people that are going to move me forward. So I think being selective is a challenge, but it's worthy of your time and energy.
I'm not going to go on a tangent of things that I've had to write off as dead to me. But yeah, not people.
But I want the kids to also learn to be able to tease through what I should spend time on and what I shouldn't, what I should respect, what I shouldn't. And that's really the goal here with role modeling.
That's the powerful part. And that's where I put a limitation on the rose-colored glasses of the world. Don't allow people to disrespect your time because you're going out of your way to be like, just move on. Next up on the list, areas you need to role model. We've talked communication skills, respect. Next one, work ethic. Number 3, you have to show the ability to work. And this one is hard. I used to work way harder. Mel knows this when I was younger. They weren't around to see all that. Like, I love doing physical hard work challenges that people think are impossible. We were opening up a gym in Binghamton, New York, and it did not look like it was going to get open in time. The flooring company that came in to do just the bathroom floors, it was a garage. They were remodeling into this gym and fitness facility. We did new HVAC, new electrical, new bathrooms, and we had to get town approval. Person came in to do the flooring for the bathrooms was like, he used some inappropriate language, like, there's no way you're going to get this effing done by tomorrow. And I took that as a personal challenge. We stayed all night. I've got some pictures of it. There's cars parked in. There's no flooring down. There's no equipment built. And we had, at that point, maybe 20 hours left. We didn't leave the facility for 20 hours. We took bathroom breaks were ones only. No time for two. You had to go work through it. You had to lay out the floor. We built the equipment. Came back the next day. They were shocked at the progress. It wasn't just me, but it was a couple other people that stayed. And we've done that more than once. It's, hey, this job needs to get done. We are going to absolutely do it. We're not going to sit here and feel sorry for ourselves. We need to start. There's a lot of people that will sit here and who can I get to solve this problem for me? Hey, when we're under 24 hours, you can solve your own problem. Pick up that shovel, get digging, go get that flooring, lay it down. You have to show progress. And then you can additionally, intelligently outsource what you need to. But you got to have a strong work ethic, in my opinion. And we are role modeling it for our kids and how our morning habits. Are we doing them or are we slacking on them? Are we doing the tasks around the house? Or are we letting things go? Or are you laying down and say, I'm going to get to that tomorrow, and your kids hear that? Or are you someone that stands up and say, hey, I'm tired, but I'm going to do this right now? And that is role modeling for your kids.
And I think extended family can be great role models of this too. So for me, my dad has great work ethic. And I think you and your brother once went to chop wood with him and his brothers.
Heck of a lumberjack, yeah.
And they just, and he wasn't like young. He was probably in his, 60s or 70s.
70s. And he brought 10 sunflower seeds with him. And that's all he had. My brother brought 10. Like, that's all he had to eat all day. And he was starving. Tough time hanging.
I think your brother kept thinking, when are they going to take a break? And they just kept going back into the woods, getting more and coming back. And my dad's just like, hey, the job has to get done. And I'm sure he learned that from his dad and growing up on a farm, that you need to have good work ethic. So a lot of that, I'm inspired by that, and I want that to then continue on with the kids.
I rarely ask, do you want to do this work? Or I ask, does this work need to get done? If that answer is yes, go do it. I don't care about the feelings associated with, I don't want to do this extra math problem right now. We should just do it, and then you have the rest of the day off. There's no slacking with that.
Or even the work ethic we do with the food that we make now.
That's right.
There's nights where I'm just like, I still need to stay up and make these naans. But I think I used to get more annoyed about that. Now I'm just like, all right, I'll just do it. Like, it needs to get done, and the kids see these things getting done.
Area 4 that you need to role model for your kids is your personal fitness.
I knew this one was going to come up.
I get on rants about it. I have recently on the podcast, so I'm not going to talk about this one much. Mel, I'm going to let you talk about role modeling personal fitness.
Well, I think it really goes back to what Cam Hanes said. You can't necessarily force your kids to do this, but I think there's so many different ways to exercise and be fit, go on walks, bike ride. It's one of the main reasons we moved to Colorado. There's just more adventure here, more physical fitness opportunities here outside, and we love to be outside. Just having them see you work out. This is like the easiest one to explain, honestly. If you are not doing any kind of working out, the kids do not see you ever walking or going to the gym or biking, whatever the case may be. You are role modeling for them. Even if your kid is in every single sport and they're super fit as a kid, when they become an adult, they will remember whether you did or did not take care of yourself.
And I remember distinct role modeling from other kids' parents in this area. There was a buddy of mine, Eric, who used to give me rides to work at the old sheet metal shop that we worked at during the summer. And he lived in a town that had a big hill that led up to a playground called Round Top Playground. And I remember him saying, "Oh, my dad comes over here on the weekends and runs up and down this hill." And I thought, who the hell runs up and down a hill for fun? Well, wow, like that, it didn't even cross my mind because I had none of that role modeling in my life. Like I saw on TV with Walter Payton running up and down mountains to get strong legs, but I didn't see it in person. I believe it was one of the first times, and I was a teenager where I heard it. I do it almost every day. Like I want the kids to see that. And Mel said it does not have to be clanging and banging the weights. It could be going out for walks together. It could be hiking together. It could be swimming. It could be any of these other activities. However, what the number one thing you're role modeling isn't the activity. It is your mindset about the activity. If it's okay, it's exercise time. Okay, this is going to be tough. I'm going to grind this out. I'm going to put my shoes on. And like, all right, I'm going to force myself to do this because it's important to say, all right, no, I get to do this. I have strong legs. I get to go do this exercise. I get to go on this hike. I get to go do this lift. And so you're role modeling the mindset about the activity and not really the activity yourself. You can pick whatever you want to do.
And I love your example from Round Top about your friend, because we do have our kids' friends come over, and then sometimes it's exciting for our kids to then show them some exercises or do some pull-ups or some box jumps or whatever. So even if they kind of whine when they work out with us, when another kid comes over, they show their excitement. It's almost like a given. They just know that we do it at this point. And you can't say, oh, must be nice because your husband's a trainer. And yes, it is nice and it's super useful, but I would still want to role model fitness even if you weren't a trainer.
There's not many fit people I know that are just tremendously unsuccessful. Like, it is an important piece of life, and it is not about the fitness. It is about the mindset, about positive things for you in your life that don't get realized until a period of time. These are not instant gratification things. So if you're able to do this with your family, it's very powerful. Next up, area you need to role model for your kids: financial responsibility. 100%. So are your kids, now let me take a step back. Similar with work ethic, we had to be more stingent with our budget when we were younger because we didn't have very much. Then you start to make it a little bit more. You get some raises, you get some benefits, you get some longevity in your investments, things like that. Kids come around, and now they see you at this level. And this is one way to absolutely set kids up for failure, is that they see you at spending at a level when you're 45 or 50 years old, and they become 18, 19, 20. They never saw you role model those years, but they expect to be able to spend money as you do when you're 45 or 50. And so they think they can go out and buy the new car or take on the big mortgage, and you don't role model or teach them otherwise. You take them on these big vacations, and that's what they expect and anticipate as they get older. And you never have the conversations, or you never role model being, all right, on a budget, let's do this thing. I think it's extremely powerful.
We do share with our kids our path. We bought a duplex initially. I didn't really want to. I remember that, but now looking back, it did set us up financially. And I like the kids seeing the steps we took, because you're right, they were little then. They don't remember that. So we try to explain to them how we got to this point. And another little example is, like, my kids will come home and they'll say, all these kids had Starbucks at school today. And for whatever reason they have it, I think I tell my kids, when those kids grow up, they're going to expect that. And that's going to be an added expense to now their budget that they might not have realized. So even those little decisions that we might be able to afford as adults or whatever, you're setting your kid up to expect that. And unless they're going to have a high-paying job or really work hard to get to there, you might just be setting them up for some struggle.
You've said that very nice. You are setting them up for some struggle, because the subscription economy, all these things that we buy on subscription now, this wasn't as big in the 90s or the 80s. They see us do it. They think they have to have a cell phone. They have to have their Netflix. They have to order their Amazon subscriptions and things like that. You start adding that up. We're talking all your subscriptions up. It's probably close to $500-$600 a month. And they're going to go on the world minus $500 or $600 every month. They're over $6,000 down to start with from the role modeling that they received. and they're not going to have the same wages, and they're $6,000 in the hole of mandatory quote unquote subscriptions.
And even though our kids grow, and whenever they make some money, we always have them save half of it. But they think about, but now like when they say something, they're like, I really want to buy this really cool bike helmet. And if I make $200, I know I'm going to have to put $100 aside. Like it's already, even if it's something that they don't necessarily enjoy in the moment, it's already part of their vocabulary because we've role modeled it.
Yes. And let me give you some practical advice on personal fitness. Financial responsibility. One way we started with the kids, we gave them a budget for the day to have fun. I think it was like $40. And we went to Watkins Glen State Park. I took them there. We did the budget on like the entrance fee, the parking pass. They wanted to go get some pizza. They did the math on the pizza to see how much money it would cost. They're getting used to what it actually costs to go through a day in their life. And they did the math on it, and they did a great job with it. Now, that's one example. You can give them a budget and go out and do something. Let them plan the day, but just don't make the budget very much. 2, advice from a friend. Kevin, you take your kids camping, you take your wife on the big vacations. Don't spoil them with huge anticipated vacations. I like that we go camping. We keep it simple when we go. We even go hotels or whatever. But we're not going like resorts. We'll figure out a way to do it affordably. Because number 1, I don't like spending money either. But number 2, it's setting them up for success. Number 3, when they're in the car, pay attention to what you're doing. Are you, oh, look at that restaurant. I really love going there. Oh, I had coffee at this place last week. And you go down the road and you identify all these places that you've essentially spent money at. And you're having these conversations with your kids. And they're going to think that's normal. And they show up. You can picture the average person walking around with a Starbucks coffee, cell phone in one hand, fancy purse, nice outfit, car that's fairly new. Like we've become too much obsessed with this consumer culture, and that is going to tremendously affect our kids. I already talked about the difference in our life and their life in the subscription economy, and that their expenses are going to be significantly higher and their expectations are going to be significantly higher, and we're setting them up for tremendous failure. And we haven't even scratched the surface yet of the financial difficulties the next generation will have.
This also reminds me of opportunity cost, because we did find like a used mountain bike for Henry, and we explained to him, we're willing to spend this money on this bike for you, and here's the opportunity cost. We could have gone out to dinner every weekend all year and basically either paid for food every weekend or bought this bike. And I think it's important that they see opportunity costs in terms of financials. It's
not just being cheap. It is them seeing you invest in things that align with your family core values. And for us, it's experiences and empowering them to go out and live strong lives. So having a mountain bike and letting Henry go up and ride up and down the mountains is more powerful than if we sit down and have pizza Fridays. And he did the math on it, and the mountain bike was cheaper than having pizza Fridays during the year.
Mm-hmm.
And so we invest in things like that. And he's starting to put it together. Initially, they're cheap. We'll go out and buy that expensive mountain bike. First, we told him he had to save the money, and here's where I'm going to go with it. I'm still going to make him earn the money for it. Let's just say it's $600. I'm going to pay for it, already have. And I'll put that $600 in investment. He's going to ride that bike 600 miles. That's his payoff of usage out of it. And he's going to put 600 miles on it. He already put like at least 10 in a year. And then that'll free up the capital. I'm going to put in $600 as an investment and let it grow for that year so we can see what happens to money and growth over time. So there's a couple very tactical things. But you got to be financially responsible and realize you're role modeling it in your language and your purchases when they're around you. Mel, are you ready for the next one?
Yes.
We're not. We're going to pause the episode there, and we're going to do the rest at part 2.
What?
It is going to go up on next Thursday. I'm sorry, we're closing in on the 30-minute mark already. I promised on Thursdays we'll have our 30-minute episodes. So we got through the first 5 on this one: communication skills, respect, work ethic, personal fitness, and financial responsibility. We'll have the remaining 7 for you up next Thursday. Make sure you like and subscribe. Visit us at strongfamilyproject.com. We have the 7 steps of the Strong Family Path for you for free over at strongfamilyproject.com.